Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Christine. Let me just make sure we're working. How's everyone today? So today, I didn't have the chance to get prepare like a video for us and what we're discussing today. But we'll just go for it. So I'm actually thinking I was busy yesterday. Do you guys see the flowers? So I made the flowers. I have friends that have birthdays today too. So yeah, I ran out of bases, so I'm using like cereal. Those cereal containers with like a like a tight air lid on top. So yeah, those are that. I might just give them the lid. But anywho, I want to talk about the single payer insurance that some people are proposing. I have to look at this. I have to look a little bit more in terms of who is proposing it. I think conceptually, the idea is pretty good in the sense that, again, you want people to have healthcare, you want people to have access to these things, but it's so odd because there's a few things that people don't realize. So I want to say this. So one of the biggest one is that majority of the money that we get from for medical is federal funds. So, and that federal funds have a condition, and this is how most of these things work. It's not just for this program. It's a lot of different grants, a lot of different funds. They usually have a specific program that you can serve it for. It has a purpose, and they have that most of the time. They have that, and they sign that into law to make sure that people within the local government don't just use it for whatever they want, right? For the party of their people or whatever agenda they think is more important. If the American people voted for funds to go to a specific place, like taking care of the elderly or taking care of the disabled, they can't use that fund for something else. So the thing that a lot of people seems to not know is that the federal funds for medical, you cannot use it for non-citizen or non dude, I don't even know what the political term now is. So people that are not documented, you can't use it for that. And so for the longest time, California had been. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows this, that we're using it to the point that when people find out that it's only supposed to go to people with papers, they didn't know because it's like it's like such a big rule that we chose not to use. So recently, the federal government found out, which is kind of silly too. But why did it take that long? Recently, they found out, so they're asking for some money back because we spent a lot. We spent a lot on medical last year. Is it 300? Let me see. So we spend a lot, about 300 billion is my understanding, and most of that is federal and some are supported by the state. So I think the idea is that California is trying their best to give free healthcare or cheaper healthcare to everyone in the community, which again is a pretty cool idea. I have a few thoughts though. So first of all, most of the healthcare is actually already free for people that claims they are low income, not really low income, claims that they are low income. Um, as I mentioned in my previous video, for you to qualify for medical, you can have up to $120,000 in your bank which I think is pretty high, but whatever. So that's as a single person, it's like 180 if you have a if you're with a partner. But the point is, on top of that, most of the time they don't check. So whatever program, most programs that includes like for kids, that includes for regular medical without disability, it's like an honor system. They ask you, do you make more than this? So it comes down to how comfortable are you in lying. I do want to say, I think they changed that. I think this year, starting this year, they're changing it. So I'm curious to see how much we'll be spending in medical for this year. When it comes to the single payer, though, they're saying that the premise is that the insurance are so high for the regular people like us. So we should have a single payer that is managed by the government, because I guess they're like repackaging the idea instead of universal healthcare that people are already attaching to places where that doesn't work, right? There's a lot of universal healthcare countries already, and they're all giving bad reviews, unfortunately. So it's kind of the same concept, but they're saying that it's the state that's going to provide it. The problem really with that is that that's not the government's forte. Like I just want to tell you guys, from someone who works intimately in this setting, that's not what they're good at. The interesting part is that when we as in the government partner with private companies, thinking that we'll get the incentive of what a private company has, it also doesn't work if there's no competition and they can just dictate whatever price. My dog is awake. Hi, Parley. Good morning. So they're kind of they're changing the marketing of the universal healthcare. And someone asked me relatively recently how I feel about universal healthcare, and the concept really is pretty good. I stand by that. The problem, though, is that when you do something like that, single payer or universal healthcare, you need someone that is pretty strong when it comes to the truth and the money. So you can't have this with someone who's just, I guess, for the lack of a better term, nice. Like, niceness doesn't work when it comes to business. And I want to say it actually worked for my advantage, because when I was, as for the people that knows my path to nursing, when 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 that massive vaccination happened, it was so obvious my style being an operations manager and my experience running the floor compared to everyone else, because that's not their forte. That's not government's forte. So it's kind of, for me, it doesn't sound right that the people who's already, like, think about it. Anything that the government touch is expensive. Anything that the government touch takes forever. They're very nice, I guess. They're pretty nice. Most of the time, they're very educated and they sound cool when they're talking. But those two things alone, and I like, really, like, I don't, majority of the government institutions that you see, it's always like that. They're slow and they're expensive. So if you apply that to this one, I don't think you're gonna get a better deal. Plus, I don't even know where you're gonna get that money. I was calculating. I might need to review my calculation, but I was calculating how much would it take for us to make sure that everyone gets an insurance, right? And this is up to you. Like, everyone has their own situations in terms of they want to pay. But first of all, not everyone is paying taxes. Like, I think we already know that. Like, a pretty significant big people, big volume of people don't pay taxes. So the taxes would land to people that is actually the one paying. And then in addition to that, my calculation and how it's been, dude, it's so frustrating because these numbers are like so hidden. It's so hidden. And I hope that whoever becomes the governor, I want to say that that's part of my platform, but with media blocking me everywhere, I don't think it's gonna. It's getting further and further from the possibility, but it's cool. But I hope the transparency eventually comes into light, right? The way that they tweak the numbers, the way that they tweak the data is really super bad, you guys. It almost to the point that even after June 2nd, even if I lose, I might continue this just because it's wrong. It's wrong to play with people's mind and people's heart by giving like this ridiculous data that don't make sense. And again, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. Like, I'm not saying this to the benefit of one side or another, but it's just the reality. The way that they're tweaking the data to make you feel a certain way, it's crazy. But the proposal right now is it's going to cost anywhere from 300 to 700 billion dollars, which is more than the budget. That's not even true, you know, because we're already paying that much. We're already paying that much. But I want to tell you a few things before I wrap up because I have to bring those flowers. One of them is that children under 18 or under 19, I should say, they already have free insurance, all of them. And as mentioned before, you know, I just joined this conference about it. They already have it. Anyone that works in that system, anyone serves that group, they know this to be the case. The problem is it's just thrown in the air and whoever catches it, you know, and they compete with people, especially the people that's not supposed to get it. Shame, shame. They compete with the people who actually need it. So it makes the pie smaller. So, for example, if the kid can potentially get even more resources, other people are taking it when they're not supposed to. But for the most part, no one denies care. No one denies care for anyone who's less than 19 years old. So that rhetoric, when they talk about, oh my gosh, these poor kids, you know, are not covered and it's so sad and we're worried. That doesn't happen, you guys. Not in California. Everyone is taken care of. At least everyone that is less than 19. So that's one. Second is that whenever there's an emergency, everyone's taken care of. Everyone is also taken care of. Again, it's just a matter of you're insured or not. I don't even know if I should say this. But pretty much, and I think some people already are talking about it, but if you go to the hospital, hopefully not, you just say, you know, you just tell them that you don't have insurance and that's it. It's automatically covered. Or, you know, they dance around the truth because they don't want to bluntly ask you if you have papers. Because remember, I told you earlier about the federal requirement. If you don't have papers, if they ask you and they specifically say that, they technically can't give it to you. So the way that they ask, you know, they try to dance around the truth. But we don't deny care. You know, public health, we don't deny care for anything contagious. Emergency, we don't deny care. And then for kids, we don't deny care. The only thing is that, again, the people that have insurance, they're the ones that have to pay a lot. So, you know, again, those two things. Government has time and time again been very expensive, and government has been time and time again been slow. The proposal is nice, but we can't afford it. We cannot afford it. We have to have a real assessment of what's going on right now. We need to have a real assessment of how much these things are gonna cost. We have to remove the fraud. Like, I'm pretty sure that once they come out with the numbers for this year, since we started actually enforcing it's gonna be a lot less. But the rhetoric that's like, oh my gosh, 49% of kids in California will lose insurance. Those are not true. Those are not true. And so it's just kind of sad when they use that to upset you. But anywho, sorry guys, I gotta go. I'm gonna bring those flowers. I'm not sure how. Transporting them is not easy. Like always, I didn't have the opportunity to actually drink my coffee. But if you guys have any questions about it, email me, put it in the chat, talk to me in person. I know I have friends that have been supporting and watching this. So yeah, just send me a message or stop me if you see me, and then we'll talk about it some more. But anywho, have fun, you guys. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you tomorrow for Coffee with Christine. Bye.